C-Rob is not here, but we're going to talk behind his back. Charles Robinson has a piece right now on Yahoo. Check it out on his Twitter. Go to the Yahoo NFL page about the Raiders and what they do. They have the number 1 overall pick. They have $88 million at least right now in projected cap space, which is number 3 according to Over the Cap. So they have money to spend. There are no state taxes here. People should want to come to Vegas, but they don't have a quarterback. Geno Smith, his cap number jury is 26 next year. They're going to owe him $26 million in cash, but that's it. It's a clean out. If they want to get out, they'd have to eat the money, whatever. They don't have an O-line. They don't have a head coach right now. They do have a GM in John Spytek, and they have an owner in Mark Davis, and they have a minority owner, a guy with kind of it's Tom Brady. He kind of has this amorphous role. Who is he? What is he? What is he doing? Is he on headset? Is he on the sideline? Is he picking the quarterback? Is he in charge? Is he not in charge? They do have the number 1 pick. Does he like Mendoza? Does he like, who knows? I have no idea. But last year, there was clearly a disconnect. Pete Carroll's 74 years old. He wanted to win now. The Raiders, John Spytek, drafted a bunch of guys, and those guys didn't play. Ashton Genty played, but Caleb Rogers or Dante Thornton, those guys barely played. Jack Bash barely played. Pete Carroll, why don't you play those guys? Well, they're not ready. Okay, but we got to draft and develop and build a roster. Okay, cool. Well, now he's gone. I wonder if it's a desirable job. I truly wonder, because I found it fascinating in that piece, C-Rob's piece, where it almost sounded like Spytek was trying to distance himself from Brady. Hey, I don't run every decision by him. Only like the important ones. We're not that close. Like, I know him. He's my buddy. We played a year together at Michigan, but then we didn't talk for 20 years. You know, like, he's a friend, but he doesn't run my life. I don't know. What do you make of all that, Jory?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to hear John Spytek on the record talk about Tom Brady, particularly after the Raiders put out a statement saying that the two of them would be leading the coaching search. So there's no more of this shadow, like, let's pretend Tom's not involved. We're actually making pretty clear on the record that Tom is involved. But one of the things John Spytek said was, he's like, yes, I run the big things by him, not the mundane decisions and the mundane transactions, as you were alluding to, Andrew. But he's like, but I don't agree with him on everything. And he goes, if anything, I think Tom likes me because I don't just agree with him on everything. So the way that I came away thinking about this is that it's, imagine if you have a company and you have an internal vice president and an external vice president or president, someone who's in charge of making sure everything works on the outside, and someone, or inside, I should say, and someone who's making sure that outside you are working on the relationships with your clients, with your shareholders, all of that. Tom Brady is the external VP and the face of the recruiting, because he's won 7 Super Bowls, only one of them with John Spytek when John was at the Bucs and Tom won his last one. And you say, well, they think that coaches will find the job more attractive because Tom Brady's there. And oh, by the way, Tom Brady also might be able to convince a coach, don't worry about Mark Davis. Don't worry about the meddling owner. I'll take care of Mark for you, because we all know Tom has Mark's ear. But when it comes to the day-to-day, as it's noted, Tom does not live in Vegas. He's not going to live there right now. His family's in Florida. He's got responsibilities, including his Fox broadcasting role that keeps him from even being at most of the games for the Raiders. So John Spytek is the one on the ground doing all of the work, even if Brady is consulting him on it. And I also think, give John Spytek credit, not only for what he's done from a draft and develop, but the stories we're hearing, it's like he's spending time with players, going through film and developing them when they felt the coaching staff wasn't in some points. That's what ESPN reported. And the other one I love that John Spytek said at his press conference was Maxx Crosby was not happy to be told he was going on IR and not playing at the end of the season. John Spytek didn't say, I'm sorry he felt that way, but sometimes that's business in the NFL. He said, I spent a lot of time with Max over the last couple weeks. I understand why he felt that way, and I talked to him about it. We want players who want to play, and we liked that he felt that way. I can't tell you whether that means Maxx Crosby will be with the Raiders in 2026 or not. I would lean that he would. Obviously, we'll see. I just don't get the sense that Tom Brady wants to blow this thing up totally, or John Spytek or whoever. But I felt the fact that John Spytek made himself available, accessible, honest, transparent to Maxx Crosby was the takeaway I got. What else do you want from a leader in your organization?
No, I agree. I think it's a great point. But 2026 is the last year of guaranteed salary on Maxx Crosby's contract. It's going to be $30 million in guaranteed cash coming up this year. If I'm John Spytek, if I'm Tom Brady, I am trading Maxx Crosby because he was the only piece on that defense that they truly had. And it was a bunch of street free agents. This is, and I know it's only 1 year in with Spytek, this roster, at least on the defensive side, is bereft of talent here. The offensive line, they need to rebuild the offensive line there as well. They started to rebuild skill position. Obviously, there's Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. They drafted a couple of wide receivers last year. We didn't see a lot of production during the regular season from those two guys I just listed. But this is, in my eyes, like a teardown in year 2, if you will. Like the whole Pete Carroll, and you're making a face, I know, but like on the defensive side, there's nothing there. There isn't. What could I interest you in trading Maxx Crosby for? I don't know, maybe you get 2 1s. You probably do, but let's say you get 2 1s. Let's say you get a 1 and a 3. You then have another number 1 pick along with the number 1 overall pick. You need young, good talent on this team. The idea that you can just get another draft class and drop a veteran quarterback in here and make them work, I don't see it. I don't see it.
It's a good question, Andrew, and I want to start by actually going to one of the points that John Spytek made that made me most feel like he is not just in agreement with Tom Brady, which is when John Spytek said, look, we're not trying to win 10 games next year. We're trying to create this to be sustainable and competitive over the long term. And he said, like, obviously, if you win 10 games, you win 10 games. But can you ever picture someone as competitive as Tom Brady saying we're not trying to win 10 games next year? No. Tom would want to rebuild and win at the same time. And I actually think that that's why I'm like, oh, John Spytek does have the right approach to it. And I don't disagree with you that if you are trying to build a sustainable franchise, sustainable roster, and you have one guy who's already there. I mean, you work in Cleveland. I don't have a lot of sympathy personally for Myles Garrett being like, I need to win because I think he could have forced his way out. That's another story. We don't need to get there.
They have a top 5 defense, though.
They do, but he's still not winning. So again, you can decide that you're going to do all you can to try and win. But I think there's a question. My challenge with this is, do you really trust, whether it's Tom Brady or someone else, that Mark Davis is going to give John Spytek 5 years to turn this thing around? Because I don't. And so if you're John Spytek, can you give away your best player, which, by the way, would give Mark Davis ill will towards you, kind of like the Joe Shane situation with Saquon Barkley? I get that he's staying on right now, at least for now. We'll see if like a John Harbaugh or someone wants to force him out. I don't expect that, but I don't think there's a 0% chance. But I think if you're the GM and you get rid of the best player and you don't have anything to point to, I think that's challenging. And the same reason that I felt Cleveland should keep Myles if he was down for it, which he was, because one of the best things you can give a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback is a great defense. I think in order to give Fernando Mendoza or whoever they go with that quarterback a great defense to take some of the pressure off a rookie quarterback, if you take that with the first overall pick, you should not trade away your best defensive player. Because also, what are you trying to get back for him? 2 guys who have the chance of being something like Maxx Crosby.
Right.
And on top of that, there are some stars in the league on the field who you hear about them around league voices and they're like, look, they're great players. They're getting the sacks. They're doing this, but they're not leaders of the team. They're not the ones who are practicing the way you want people practicing, who are getting treatment and taking care of their body the way you want. Maxx Crosby is that and more. And you hear all these stories about him. And I talk to opponents who say, we fear him more than we fear most edge rushers in this league, if not all, because every single play, that effort's there. He's one of the only edge rushers who is on the top, not only of the pass rush win rate for ESPN, but also the run stop win rate, because he's not just going for the sacks, which is a valuable skill. I'm not saying it's not, but he's doing both. So I think the message it sends to trade Maxx Crosby away is just too devastating a message for the Raiders to actually make it worth it.
No, I totally understand that. Yeah, and I see that side of it as well. I also see the side, let's go back to Washington last year. They had a brand new head coach. They had the number 2 overall pick. Jaden Daniels was a transformational player that made everyone around him better. And they were able to piece together with a new defensive-minded head coach enough pieces, and they had some talent there already, where all of a sudden they were in the NFC Championship game. So yeah, maybe they can do it. But they're going to have to spend a lot of money on that cap, right? They have all that cap space, $88 million. If you want a quick turnaround, you need your number 1 overall pick likely Mendoza, to hit and hit big, and you're going to have to stock the roster with veteran pieces from that $88 million in cap space and pray that you have the right coach in there. Patrick Graham has survived a couple of head coaches. He right now is getting interview opportunities as well. He's still under contract, however, and in the building in Vegas. It can happen. There's no one way to build a winner, right? You can catch lightning in the bottle, but you have to have that rookie quarterback hit and hit big. But as we see in Washington, it isn't necessarily sustainable because some of those veteran pieces that you throw onto your roster to get your defense quickly up to speed aren't going to last more than a year or two.
Right. I also think that if they had the 10th overall pick of the draft, then maybe I could see you trade away Maxx Crosby to get that. They already have the first overall pick. So the number one piece you need, you're going to be getting him. And if he hits, which if he doesn't hit, you're probably in bigger problems anyway that might not be able to be solved. If he hits, you have that guy under rookie contract for 5 years. So you'll have that market inefficiency that you can pay other guys. So I just don't know that this is the team that needs to trade away Maxx Crosby.